Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're embarking on what feels like a fascinating mission. We're going to dissect a concept that really sounds like a contradiction.
It does, on the surface.
How to combine this genuinely intense, almost world-class effort with a profound, unshakable internal peace. And we're not just talking about, simple stress reduction.
No. This is about high achievement without the almost inevitable mental breakdown that seems to come with it.
Exactly. You look at these great sustained achievers, athletes, entrepreneurs, anyone at the top of their game, and they operate at a pace that would just sideline most of us.
Burnout would happen in months, if not weeks.
Right. And you assume they're just wired differently. Maybe they're impervious to stress. But what if their secret wasn't some kind of immunity, but a specific mental technique? A technique for maximizing action while somehow neutralizing anxiety.
And that's what we found in the source material.
So our mission today, as we go through this, is to extract the core knowledge behind what our sources call intentional input, accepted results. We want to fundamentally reframe ambition for you.
It's not just about a path to external success. It's a practice of sustainable high performance. And I think importantly, emotional mastery. And the material we reviewed, it really pinpoints this exact tension. I mean, we are setting out with the explicit purpose of, and I'm quoting here, debunking the myth that Stoics are passive.
That one phrase says so much.
It does. It signals that this whole philosophy we're diving into isn't about idleness or just, sitting back. It's about channeling energy into highly focused, highly productive motion. The peace is a byproduct of that effort.
Not an alternative to it.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's unpack that misconception right out of the gate, because this is where the conversation usually derails for people. They hear words like detachment or indifference and just assume you're supposed to shrug at your biggest life goals. Why is it so common to confuse this whole philosophy with apathy?
Well, it's a complete misunderstanding of what the ancients actually meant by indifference. They weren't advocating for emotional flatness at all.
They were advocating for discipline.
Emotional discipline, yes. Think about it. If you genuinely believe nothing matters, why even bother getting out of bed? That would, of course, lead to idleness.
Yeah.
But the sources suggest the exact opposite. They say that maximum effort is actually a prerequisite for this whole paradox to even work.
You can't be detached from the outcome of something you never even tried to achieve.
Exactly. You have to put in genuine, verifiable effort first. So this philosophy, it becomes this incredibly powerful engine for action.
An engine for action, I like that.
Because it's action focused solely on what is truly within your power. It demands you work harder than everyone else, but it also gives you a mechanism to just discard the emotional weight that usually crashes the most ambitious among us.
Okay, I hear the theory, but let's press on the practicality of that. I mean, you are telling me, and you're telling the listener, that they have to fully commit to some massive, audacious goal.
The ambitious action part, yes.
While simultaneously accepting that the result is irrelevant, the detached outcome. I worried that if I truly don't care about the outcome, I'll unconsciously lower my effort. Doesn't genuine detachment sort of erode ambition?
That is the crucial friction point. And it requires us to get really clear on the mental mechanism here. We're not saying the outcome is irrelevant. What we're saying is that it belongs to the sphere of non-control.
Okay.
The commitment isn't to the result. It's to the quality of the process.
The quality of the effort itself.
Yes. To understand this, we have to firmly establish the two spheres of influence. The first sphere is control. This is your input, your effort, your preparation, your judgment, your character, all of that.
The intentional input.
That's it. It means the absolute best work you can possibly offer, demanding 100% focus and strategic excellence. The sources are clear that the quality of your internal will is the only true measure of your success.
So, okay, the goal then is to make the internal effort the actual measurable goal. The presentation isn't successful if the client signs the contract.
Right.
The presentation is successful if I applied every single ounce of preparation and skill that I possess. That shifts the entire definition of winning.
Precisely. And this is where we introduce a really practical tool, the mental reservation.
Mental reservation.
The sources say this is crucial for anyone in high-stakes projects. It means you attach a silent, sort of stoic asterisk to every goal you set, so you aim to achieve X.
But in your mind?
In your mind, the goal is actually, I will achieve X, provided nothing external or unavoidable prevents me from succeeding.
Okay. That little pause is everything.
It is, because the external result, the success, the failure, the bad luck, that falls entirely into the second sphere, non-control. This just recognizes that, the market reception, the timing, a judge's bias, an unexpected illness, all of these things hold veto power over the final result.
No matter how perfect your preparation was.
No matter how perfect.
I like this idea of co-created outcomes. It feels like it acknowledges that the result is a partnership between my effort and, well, the universe's variables.
That's a great way to put it.
But let's use a tangible example. I want you to show the listener how this detachment actually improves performance rather than dampening it.
Okay, perfect. Let's use a long game scenario. Something like building a high-growth tech startup over, say, 2 years. A massive, volatile endeavor.
Right.
The ambitious action is the grind. The coding, the recruiting, the iterative design, the 80-hour weeks, we all know what that looks like.
Mm.
The standard high achiever, they tie their self-worth directly to those external milestones. Hitting quarterly revenue, closing a funding round, getting good press.
And when a key investor pulls out or a competitor launches an identical product just ahead of schedule, things that are completely out of their control, what happens to that person?
They experience intense mental drag. They suffer burnout, existential angst. They need significant emotional recovery time because the failure of that uncontrollable milestone feels like a personal, almost a moral indictment.
Their whole system just stalls.
Their entire operating system stalls because they define success by external validation. Now, compare that to the person practicing this idea of intentional input, accepted results.
Wow.
They define their success on day one as, I will apply optimal strategy and 100% effort to navigating this market. So when the key investor pulls out, the external result is, yeah, it's disappointing they preferred the other outcome.
Of course.
But their internal metric, it remains fully intact. They succeeded internally because they exhausted their sphere of control perfectly.
So they just bypass that debilitating recovery cycle entirely.
Yeah.
They treat the external failure not as sudden catastrophe, but just as essential, actionable information.
Exactly. Information about the current market conditions.
They don't waste energy on self-pity or regret over the uncontrollable past. They can immediately channel that mental bandwidth right back into the next iteration of the product.
And that is the cognitive advantage we identified in the sources. Obsessing over the outcome creates this immense cognitive overhead.
Cognitive overhead. I like that term.
It's like running a dozen background processes on your brain, constantly calculating worst-case scenarios, second-guessing every decision. It just drains your focus and makes sustained effort impossible.
But by applying this mental reservation,
you instantly free up all that processing power. All the emotional energy you previously spent worrying about the market or the judge is suddenly available for perfecting your next move.
So this is where it gets really interesting for me. This isn't just a psychological trick to feel better.
Not at all.
It's a framework for endurance. I mean, anyone can sprint for a few months, driven by sheer anxiety. But only the detached can run a marathon at sprint intensity for years.
And that ability to sustain maximal, high-quality effort over a long, long period, that's the ultimate competitive edge in any complex field.
So how do you build that sustainability?
Well, you build it using another key technique that we found, the premeditatio malorum.
The premeditation of evils.
It sounds dark, I know. But it's not pessimism, it's proactive psychological preparedness.
Yeah.
You actually spend time thinking through the potential failures, the bankruptcy, the market crash, the public humiliation.
But why do that? Why invite all those negative thoughts in?
Because when you consciously walk through the worst-case external scenarios ahead of time, you realize two things. First, the scenario, while, it's bad, it's survivable.
You can handle it.
You can handle it. And second, you confirm that your internal effort and your character will remain intact regardless of the external wreckage. You're basically inoculating yourself against emotional shock.
So this resilience then allows you to tolerate higher operational risk.
Yeah.
You can make bolder decisions because you know the mental cost of failure has been drastically reduced.
Yes. If we look at Seneca's formulation of this paradox, it's all about shifting the definition of vulnerability. The standard achiever is vulnerable to external events.
Right.
The Stoic achiever is vulnerable only to their own failure to apply maximum effort. And that is a factor entirely within their control. They trade emotional fragility for a kind of internal infallibility.
I think this addresses the competitive angle perfectly. It's not just about feeling good, it's about operating optimally when you're under pressure. If success is tied to an uncontrollable outcome, anxiety spikes.
It leads to hesitation, indecision, burnout, all the bad stuff.
But if success is tied solely to whether you applied your maximum fully controlled effort, anxiety is neutralized, and that psychological fuel tank just stays protectually full.
Absolutely. The listener should realize that this is not a retreat from ambition. It is a tactical refinement of ambition.
Refinement, yeah.
It gives you the ability to maintain peak performance even after 3 consecutive external failures, because those failures were just external data points. They were not reflections of inadequate effort. You just reset, adjust, and reapply the internal metric.
And that's how you work harder than everyone else without the inevitable crash.
That is the formula.
This has been a profoundly useful deep dive into a really powerful counterintuitive philosophy. So the key takeaway here is this radical redefinition of control. Ambition isn't stifled by this approach. It is refined and, I would say, amplified by it. It forces us to shift our definition of success from those volatile external results to stable, fully controlled internal effort.
And for anyone who's pursuing high-stakes goals, that shift in perspective is everything. It separates the persistent achiever who can sustain effort indefinitely from the anxious striver who just burns out after the first major setback. It converts these massive, terrifying projects into a series of achievable, present-moment commitments.
So we'll leave you with this final, provocative thought built on this whole framework of intentional input, accepted results.
Go for it.
If the fear of failure is simply the fear of attaching your personal value to a completely uncontrollable outcome, how much greater, how much bolder, and how much more sustained could you be in tackling your biggest challenge if you fully divorced your personal value from the ultimate result? Think about what you could do if the risk of failure was emotionally neutralized and only the quality of your effort truly mattered.